Broads Media.
What is going on, everyone? Before we dive into things, I messed around with some microphone settings, and I don't know if I like what it ended up being or whatever, so if you hear a little bit of a different tone here, yeah, that's why. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate the support. And if you're looking to buy tickets to go to any NBA, NHL, NFL, MLB games, you can utilize SeatGeek's promo code BROADS at checkout. So go to SeatGeek, get your tickets, head to the checkout page, punch in BROADS, $20 off of your purchase. Bang. The fees are eliminated right from the jump. It's that simple. Don't be a fool. It's a no-brainer. Get yourself to a game today. With that being said, enjoy the show. What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. This past Sunday, logged in Jalen Hurts' 16th start of his NFL career. So I thought it would be kind of interesting to dive into it a little bit more on where he is today and his record 6-10. I will say that there's so much context that really has to be discussed when we're talking about this because, well, Carson Wentz in his rookie year was 7-9. The difference is they labeled Carson Wentz the franchise guy when they slithered through the draft to go out and snag him, while in the second round, which I don't truly understand the thought process behind it, they grabbed Jalen Hurts. Was it to be a backup quarterback? Was it to take over Carson Wentz eventually? Was it just because they were afraid of Carson Wentz's health, so they wanted some sort of security blanket? Was it because they were fascinated with Russell Wilson and they had so much damage because they were fooled before and they didn't want to be fooled again? Although when you see the way Jalen Hurts plays, there is clearly a big difference between where Russell Wilson is and who Jalen Hurts is. So there's a lot of confusion in that area for me. And I've been pretty consistent with this message for a little bit of time now with Jalen Hurts. I like him. I think that he has a unique skill set for sure, but it also does seem like something's missing, and my gut tells me, I don't know. I guess, and this has been a common theme for me, there's an issue with tone. I know it's a flaw because at the end of the day, I have the same result and the same end game as majority of people, but here's where I get a bit upset. Throughout the last 3 or 4 games prior to the New York Giants, let's say a couple of games before that, it was, hold on, maybe there's something to this guy. Maybe it doesn't have to be where he throws the ball 5 billion times, but he's efficient when he needs to be. But because he's such an awesome runner and he's a threat with his legs, that opens up the running game in such a lethal way, especially with the way your offensive line is dominating in the trenches. Could this be a recipe for success? Even though there was some legitimate questions about how sustainable this could be long term. But then after one game where he turns the ball over more than he ever had, he doesn't turn the ball over. That's not part of the Jalen Hurts experience. So when he does it to this nth degree, it's, oh, nope, no way. No way. He sucks. He's awful. I knew it. I knew this would never work after he puts together a couple really strong games. That game in Denver, that first half was a special showing. That was a special way to throw the football around. If Jalen Reagor catches that football, the tone changes, even though 1 touchdown pass and 3 interceptions and winning a game against the Giants 14-13 is not anything you cheer about and throw your hands up for and you fist pump. There is still something with the, hey, there's that comeback gene. There's something special about the way he fought back late. But at the end of the day, I'm with you. I feel like there's just something missing all around full package, but I can't pretend that he's just a quarterback that runs around and does nothing. There's nothing to him. All he does is run around. No, that's unfair, and I think that's doing him a disservice. Is 6-10 after 16 games, knowing, because let's be realistic. Let's analyze what they have out there on the football field. Dallas Goedert and Devontae Smith are really your only weapons. I like Quez Watkins, and he'll be a player as he continues to grow, but he's not a reliable source right now, and it's just not as simple as, well, Jalen Hurts can't throw him the ball. No, there's rawness in who he is. There's a reason why he was drafted so late in the draft. He is a burner, and he has speed, and he has the ability. But if we're analyzing this full roster, Jalen Reagor and these options outside of one tight end and wide receiver receiver, that limits what you can do capability-wise in your offense. Let's date back to his 4 starts last year where he gets thrown into the fire after Carson Wentz gets benched. The offensive line is getting toyed with left and right. And with that in there, here were your wide receivers last year. I mean, Deshaun Jackson was just done for you, cooked. Alshon Jeffrey was a mess. You had J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Travis Fulgham, and Jalen Reagor. These are the wide receivers we're working with. So, look, I'm not telling you that I think he's absolutely 1,000% the guy. Quite frankly, I'm telling you the opposite, and I'm here to tell you, I have my question marks, and I don't know. Like, I'm torn because I don't think he's just a guy. I don't think he's just a guy that does nothing but run around. But, yeah, I mean, there's something about the arm talent here, but I think he's more than just a guy who runs around. Like, there's people who say, like, he doesn't do anything but just run. No, like, this is an intense version of a running quarterback that causes a lot of trouble for the opposing team when they stay true to their identity. Now, 31 throws is 31 throws. And if you can't ask your quarterback to consistently throw 31 times, which is not a lot to the NFL standards, is there a problem with that? Yeah, I think so. I do think so. But I can't just pretend that everything else, all the substance to Jalen Hurts and his 16 starts don't matter when you look at a 6-10 record. Hell, you could say that 6-10 based off of the circumstances of, I mean, look, the same people out there that are screaming that Jalen Hurts sucks are the same one that claim that Howie Roseman sucks and this roster is pathetic and they're absolutely miserable and Howie Roseman should be fired because he sucks and he's pathetic and he's missing in all these pieces. Well, I mean, you have to utilize that logic at the same time to study and analyze Jalen Hurts and what he has to work with as well. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things is my point. I think Jalen Hurts has his limitations. I think Nick Sirianni has limitations based off of his skill position players, the wide receivers outside of Smith and Goddard. And on top of that, with Jalen Hurts, and then I think at times it's on Nick Sirianni to find ways to get Goddard going. The fact that the New York Giants took Dallas Goedert out of that game the way that they did. I mean, that's on the head coach to counter that. It's called chess. We play chess all the time in this sport of football. And you got to get unique and creative to get your players open. So to kind of summarize here, I think after 16 games and you see a 6-10 record, I see some things I like. At the end of the day, though, I mean, yeah, it's difficult. And it might be as simple as this. One, you know how much Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie want a gunslinger. And I guess I can also say here, I find it interesting that over the years, it wasn't okay with Jeffrey Lurie to have Doug Peterson run the rock with Jordan Howard X amount of times, even if it resulted in a victory. How come Nick Sirianni has the pedigree here to kind of maneuver through this offense with maybe they all know, like, hey, this is what we have to do because the proof is on the pudding right here. The answer's sitting right in front of us. It's inevitable. Jalen Hurts can't throw the rock, so we can't just force him to do it over and over again or else we're going to be in some trouble. So, Nick, hey, have at it because we've seen what we've seen, and it's not good enough for our liking with the quarterback. I don't know. I'm just looking for answers. I'm trying to figure this out just like anybody else. But, you know, as much as I try and sit here and defend Jalen Hurts a bit, because I do think he's better than people are giving him credit for, there are really strong throws within there. And I think there's an element, too, of, look, I know how reactionary we are. I know as a fan base, I've seen it. I've been around long enough. I've been analyzing these teams long enough where when you want someone out, it's just that simple of get out of here. You're not good enough. You put the stamp down, you put the hammer down, and then that's it. There's no getting past that. And I wonder, is this a very quick knee-jerk reaction where you're just running someone out of town before given the real opportunity to based off of what you've seen? I don't know. I mean, this is tougher than I thought it was going to be. And I try and lay it out as simple as this. If you don't know, the answer's no. If you don't know by the end of 16 games or by the end of this season where you're still wondering what the hell's going on here, he can't throw, but he can do this, then your answer's no. I like it to be that simple. And you know what? There's also something else that I think is making me feel this way. And let's be clear. I don't think he's the answer, but I don't think he sucks either. And I wonder if he can grow into the answer. I guess, and it's not about like, oh, you don't just grow arm talent. I'm with you. But maybe there's a creative, unique style in Jalen Hurts that is different. It's different than your standard pocket passer. You know how many pocket passers aren't going to find a way to win? You know how many pocket passers don't have enough? You know who was a hell of a guy that had a hell of an arm? Andy Dalton. You know who stinks? Andy Dalton. There's more to it than that. Once again, I don't think he's the guy. But can he grow into a Jalen Hurts version of a guy that isn't necessarily your prototypical type, but it's something? I don't know. As you can see, I'm conflicted all around. Is he the guy or not the guy at the end of the year? If your answer is I don't know, then the answer is no. Maybe. But getting back to why I'm maybe also in this uncomfortable position is this. There's no one coming out of next year's draft that's a no-brainer. No-brainer, lock, automatic, disgusting quarterback that you have to go get. There's no one. They're all coin flips. They're all maybes. Well, what's Jalen Hurts? Is he in that same category-ish? And the reason I bring that up to you is because when you have this much trauma going on in your defensive system, and you got this like a lot of holes opposite of Slay, defensive line needs to get younger, secondary, linebacker, the list goes on and on and on. Would it make more sense to target that area instead of a maybe guy? And then after next year of playing out Jalen Hurts, then you can go snag your quarterback. Or you make your trade for your quarterback now if you're obsessed with the Russell Wilsons of the world. And then you try and find ways to fill that back half and fill that defense in another way. There's a lot of different ways that you can go. And I won't be upset. I will not be upset. I will not cry. I will not be pissed off or disgusted if they elect to look in another direction. So I think it's safe to say that Broads is not living and dying with Jalen Hurts. I just think he brings more than others think he does. But at the end of the day, I also feel that it's not enough. And it's right there, but it's not enough. But it's right there, but it's not enough. But it's the tone and the delivery of getting to that spot that I think makes me somewhat react harshly, or, kind of have my fight back when people say he sucks, he's nothing but a running back, he's terrible in this league. I mean, you're just overreacting. The amount of comments that I've seen all on my page is just outrageous. Now, I want to throw this out there that I saw on Twitter. Let me bring this up. So it's in regards to, and we're going to get to the Anytime Hotline call in just 1 second. By the way, Shane Steichen says that Devontae Smith wasn't really open on that final play of the game. That could be trying to support Jalen Hurts a little bit and like not throwing him under the bus a bit. I thought Aaron Rodgers probably making that throw. Some of these top echelon quarterbacks, Josh Allen might try and slip that in there. Like these guys that have zip on the ball can do it. And there's legitimacy to looking at the non-zip on the ball because, it's if you look at the delivery of the football, it's not the smoothest. But then it goes back to after three games that we can be satisfied with, after a handful of good games that we can be satisfied with, one bad one, and then everything goes into the dumpster. And I don't know. I guess I'm a little upset about that. So here's a stat for you. Jalen Hurts is 12th in the NFL in on-target throws per Pro Football Reference. He has the 5th lowest bad throw percentage. So the numbers indicate overall he's throwing pretty accurate passes and is not putting the ball in danger. But the passing game still isn't working, ? Which goes back to, I think that there's a lot of problems here. I think that there's issue with personnel. I think there's an issue with scheme. I think there's an issue with Jalen Hurts in general with seeing the football and throwing the ball in the right areas and things of that nature. I think it's a collective group here on why we're getting the results that we are getting. But I can't hide from when you took away from Jalen Hurts and took less off of his plate, it looks better. But at the same time, that's not the end-all, be-all. It's not that simple of a discussion. Football is a complicated sport, and there's a lot of factors when you look at a 53-man roster and a bunch of coaching in a big-time coaching staff. There's a lot of pieces to dissect when things look a certain way. So that's kind of where I'm at today. And yeah, it's an emotional time, The franchise quarterback is extremely important, just like the head coach. You can't have a thought on the head coach after one press conference. Yeah, you can. It's the head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Absolutely, you can have some sort of thought after his first press conference, even though you haven't seen him coach yet. Right now with Jalen Hurts, it's emotional time. Of course you can have thoughts on Jalen Hurts, the quarterback. I can't take that away from anybody. But just like with Nick Sirianni, there's a level, and then with Jalen Hurts, there's a level. And I feel I'm just kind of trying to figure out the right level, I guess, for Jalen Hurts in terms of conversation with what he's shown, with his ceiling, and with us trying to figure out exactly what he can be. So it's not easy. It's not simple, and I think that almost tells you with Jalen Hurts, because of his ability to run the ball and how much of a threat he is. And when you go back to that Saints game, the reason why you run the ball down the throat of the number one defense in the league has more to do than just the trenches and just Jordan Howard and just Boston Scott and Miles Sanders. It's extremely difficult to figure out what Jalen Hurts is going to decide on a lot of these options, because if you go the wrong way, Jalen Hurts will make you pay. So why we're uncomfortable, at least the way I see it, is because there's signs. There's signs of uniqueness. It's not traditional. I got you. It's not traditional. I guess I'm more willing to an untraditional or an unconventional style of play than just your steady Eddie. Your steady Eddie type of guy that stands in the pocket nonstop. I get it. It's a throwing league. I got you. But it's more open now than it ever has been with this uniqueness. But we'll see. Like I said, for the 10 billionth time, so nobody takes this out of context here, my gut of gut tells me that, it's probably going to be in another direction by the end of this. He's not your long-term solution. All right, let's rock some Anytime Hotline calls. Before we do, let me tell you about DeSimone Jewelers. They're my jewelers. I got my fiance's engagement ring from them, and I went back for her birthday. I went back for Christmas. I went back for Valentine's Day. You name the holiday, I put my feet right inside DeSimone Jewelers, and I got an unbelievable piece of jewelry for her. They're a family-owned business located in Haddonfield, New Jersey, previously in Jewelers Row. Will, Lou, Nick, Mike, they're just fantastic to work with, and they work with you to get the best design at the most reasonable price you will find in the market today. They provide custom jewelry design, jewelry repairs, appraisals, watch repairs, battery replacement, diamond setting, jewelry cleaning, and so much more. They're extremely passionate about their business. They love educating you. They're not just trying to make a quick buck on a random customer that walks in. No, they want to teach you the difference in clarity and what you can look for and what the benefits are from this diamond compared to that diamond. And it's such a great experience. Make sure you tell them that Brode sent you. They'll absolutely hook you up. Their link is in the description, DeSimoneJewelers.com. All right, let's rock on over to the Anytime Hotline. Hear from the people. Here we go.
Hey, yo, bros, this loss is on Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, and Jalen garbage-ass Rager. Listen, Jalen Rager is so ugly for one thing. And then the next thing, he's so scared. Like, he like a black Ben Simmons, just scared of the fans. Just cut his comments off and everything. Jalen Hurts is my man. He's doing his thing. But at the same time, like, what are you doing, bro? Sometimes you can have too much confidence. I think he got too much confidence. And Nick Sirianni wasn't running the ball in the beginning of the game. He tried to go into his regular little pattern. He keep on playing around and dipping into that pass stuff. It's like they got problems, man. For real, man. I don't understand it, man. Stick to what you do, man.
I agree with that. Stick with what you do. And you're not wrong in terms of Jalen Rager. Not that I'm here to criticize looks or judge anyone based off of the way they look, but I can get behind a statement that says Jalen Rager might not be a model, might not be winning any sort of beauty contest or anything like that. With all jokes aside, though, yeah, I mean, Jalen Rager absolutely crushed you, and he is not a good football player. I'd be sitting his ass on the bench, no doubt about it. I'd be looking in another direction, even if it's a John Hightower or Greg Ward or anybody else, whether you look at the market, I don't know what you do. You bring somebody here that hasn't been playing football. I don't know, but I know that Jalen Rager is not your answer here. He's a bit abysmal. Nick Sirianni, yeah, they got away in that first half. They wanted to drop back a lot. And the problem is, you look at the stat sheet afterward, the box score, and it tells you one thing. Well, 31 throws, and this is what they did. It was kind of balanced, so you can't be mad at them. If you watch the flow of the game and study the context of the game, it just doesn't fully give you the right information. And that's why even in the beginning of the year, right, Jalen Hurts, he had all these numbers that people said, whoa, in his first 8 starts, he was in the same category as Andrew Luck and Pat Mahomes. And I was going the other side. That's great, but these numbers don't tell me anything, because if I mention to you Jalen Hurts, do you ever think those other quarterbacks? Absolutely not. So in the beginning of the year, when all the Jalen Hurts insane stands started pouting their chest or pumping their chest or whatever the hell the phrase is, and they're putting their chest out, trying to bump everybody with it, it's like, cool down a little bit. And that's how it is for me. If you're obsessed with the guy, I say that you got to calm down a bit. And if you say that he's a dope and he's horrendous, I say relax. He's not as bad as what you're saying either, which puts me in this middle ground, which is a uncomfortable spot to be in. I don't think he's too cocky. Maybe Giants threw some things his way that confused him with some disguises, and he just had a bad game. He's a young football player that had a bad game after having a couple nice, strong games, and then he had a great game in Denver. He threw the football beautifully in that first half. I mean, unbelievably in that first half. And then a couple games later, he tried some things and he was throwing the football and it just didn't work out, and he had some tough decisions. And everyone now, it's like, a dumb quarterback doesn't even throw the ball there in the end zone right before the first half that gets picked off. Yeah, you're right. He made a bad mistake. But how many times to this point through 16 games has he made that mistake? That mistake. That was bad. It was bad. Matthew Stafford, go look at some of the throws he's making right now. Oh my God, this guy's bad. He's pulling Carson Wentz type of stuff out of his ass as of late. It happens. It's about how do you respond in the big picture. It's about the full body of work. It's about the 20-plus games after this season's over to fully give your assessment. Because guess what? If it looks more like it did before this Giants game and it looked like the game against the Saints and the Denver Broncos, well then, hey, how are you? This is nice. Something to build off of. Progress each week. He's not as bad as what he showed throwing the football this past week. He's not. He's probably not as sharp as he showed in Denver either, though. But it's about finding a consistent level to this. You can't be that high and that low each week in and week out. But that's also part of being a guy who's very raw at the NFL level and understanding, like, hey, these coverages the Giants threw at me, I'm sure that there's a blueprint here that some teams are going to utilize to try and keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket more. What do I do now that I've already saw that? That will tell me a lot about the growth of Jalen Hurts throughout this back stretch here. So that's kind of how I see it. What's next?
What's up, bros? What a tough loss yesterday, man. That was a heartbreaker from start to finish. You could tell between the opening drive and the Giants' second couple drives after, you could tell that game was going to go that way. At least I could feel it. Now, we just got the news that Jalen Hurts is possibly injured, might be out against the Jets. Listen, I'm a Jalen Hurts fan. I like the kid. I've supported him. I have his jersey with number 2. I have his rookie year jersey. I'm a big Jalen Hurts fan, and I believe he could be a good quarterback. But I'm starting to see some doubt with his arm. And, with the way that the league is ran today, I mean, we ran 15 straight times yesterday. That can't be a modern NFL offense. That won't work. So long term at least. So I don't know if, imagine with the league going forward in the way guys like Justin Herbert, Mahomes, Josh Allen, these guys are throwing 30, 40 times a game. And if they stop the run and we get shut down like we did yesterday, how is Jalen Hurts going to match and throw 30 to 40 times a game? I'm concerned. But I'm also interested to see if Hurts is hurt, no pun intended, what we could get out of Gardner Minshew and how different the offense would look with Sirianni and Minshew.
I mean, like Gardner Minshew, his play and who he is and his ceiling is so low that that's not going to tell me anything. And look, they play the New York Jets, and we heard reports. I know that call said, it seemed like that call came in on Monday, and Nick Sirianni spoke about Jalen Hurts that day. It seems like they're trending in the direction of getting Jalen Hurts out there, so that's a little bit different. But I know the Gardner Minshew thing has been a discussion, and for me with Gardner Minshew, I kind of sit in that category of, I mean, look, you're playing the New York Jets, and you can make the same argument if Jalen Hurts plays and he has success. Well, they did it against the Jets, and the Jets aren't very good, and their defensive identity isn't what they expected it to be under Robert Saleh, and all this and yada, yada, yada. That is all very valid. This isn't really going to tell me much big picture-wise anything. I have no fascination. No, I can't wait to see. No, I want to see Gardner Minshew. Nothing Gardner Minshew do I care about a half of an inch. Not even a little bit. Not even 0.001% of me cares one lick about Gardner Minshew and what an offense looks like with Gardner Minshew. If we're having the debate if Jalen Hurts can be the guy or not, like Gardner Minshew, he doesn't even sniff a conversation like that. So I don't even want to personally hear it. In terms of Jalen Hurts and 15 times running the ball, this and that, you're right. That's not something that's normal. But I'll tell you what, the Giants didn't stop the run. The Eagles just got away from what worked for them over the handful of weeks. So it wasn't really, well, the Giants made you one-dimensional. No, they just got away from it, and their game plan was to be a bit more in the passing game. 3rd and 2, 4 and 2, we're throwing passes to Jalen Reagor and Kenneth Gainwell, and they were predetermined before the snap. And if you know you're going to go for it on 4th, you should have ran the ball on 3rd down. Probably would have got the ball anyway to the 1st down marker and moved the chains without even having to go for it. And if you didn't, well, then it's 4th and inches or 4th and 1, and you're in a better position. So all around, it wasn't like they made you one-dimensional. That's the thing. You have such a scary, lethal running game that with your trenches and with your running backs and with Jalen Hurts, it's not easy to make you one-dimensional. The best defense in the entire league at stopping the run had 0 answers for you. Literally 0. None. Zip. So it seemed like the Giants, they didn't snap their fingers and just destroy you and annihilate you nonstop in the run-stopping category. But I agree with you. Running the ball 3, 4, 5-year window of a sample size with Hurts being your quarterback year in and year out, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that that's sustainable. But it comes down to mixing in throws at an efficient pace. Doesn't have to be elite throwing. Can it be something where it's more just timely? And I guess it comes back to you're not married to the guy forever. Knowing all the holes in your roster, knowing all the flaws in your roster, would you be willing to figure out if it gets any better over the next year while still long-term fixing your issues? It's not like, well, if you don't get a quarterback this year, you're not helping out your team at all and you're just wasting time. No, you got to find linebackers. You have to find secondary players. You have to find defensive ends. You have to find defensive tackles. You have to find outside corner slay. You need to find wide receivers. You need to find pieces to your roster where when you're figuring that out, you're not wasting time. It's not as if Trevor Lawrence is a no-brainer guy in this upcoming draft that you're just going to miss out on to take this flyer on Jalen Hurts again. I'm just saying that's one avenue to go. And it might not be the worst decision ever in the history of the world, but I'm also not against getting the quarterback either. I'm not against. I'm just not against all the possibilities here. There's a lot of good possibilities out there, or reasonable ones. And I get the logic behind all of them. There's multiple logical reasons here. But you can't act if Jalen Hurts runs it back and you fill out those holes for the long term with young talent. And no Raegers. I'm talking Devontae Smiths, Landon Dickersons, Dallas Goederts. The list goes on with those style of players. Pieces for future runs. Can you get behind that? I know I can. Because you got to retool this thing. Tweak it around a bit. It's a lot you got to do. What's next?
There's so much that you want to say, but for lack of time, let's just start out with the simple that I think is a sentiment echoed by Eagle fans now. Jalen Reagor needs to be cut immediately. Shades of Nelson Aguilar against Atlanta. Total bust. Let's just call it as it is. This guy is a non-threat in the punt return game and a non-threat in the receiving game. As for the game itself, all the goodwill the Eagles had done over the last few weeks ended on the field of the Meadowlands today. Just a shit performance, coaching-wise, execution-wise. I mean, the Giants had to get help from the Eagles to win that game, and they did. They got every bounce of the ball that went their way, but no excuses. I mean, again, all talk of playoffs ends total shit, total garbage, total humiliation. And again, for everybody that spent their Thanksgiving laughing at Dallas, we're the laughing stock of the NFL today.
I don't know if I fully agree with that. I mean, let's be realistic. While it's a bad loss, and it's a loss that shouldn't have happened, nobody thought the Eagles were some magnificent team. Sure, maybe playoffs here and that came into the conversation. One, because the NFL expanded the playoffs, and an average team, like the Falcons are still talking about, well, maybe we have a chance. The Giants were still talking about, maybe we have a chance even before this game. So my point is, we were talking about it by default. Everyone knew that this team had a bunch of flaws. While the Dallas Cowboys continuing to lose, their hopes are very high. So them losing games and them falling on their face, there's more to it because they actually had a goal that was something like a big term goal here, a big, huge execution goal of trying to actually compete in the playoffs and win a damn championship. Well, if you're a bad football team and you lose to another bad football team, yeah, it's embarrassing. It is what it is. But in terms of big picture NFL, you think people go, oh, I can't believe the Eagles lost to the Giants. No, they're saying, wow, this game sucks. This game's bad. It's sort of like when you watch Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks this year, who are trash, and they're playing a Washington football team who's not very good either. No one's saying like, oh, the Seattle. No, they're bad. They're bad. That's what they are. They're bad. It's not like if they were good and they lost to the Redskins, or I should say the Washington football team, then you get to make fun of them more. But when two bad teams play and a bad team beats another bad team, it is what it is. I don't think that relates to the Dallas Cowboys loss, but in general, I think you're right with what you said about Jalen Reagor. It's time to go. They're not going to admit that. And then also with execution. I thought the execution was just poor. I didn't love the game plan heading into the game anyway, but the execution of that said game plan was also miserable too. It's a combination of a lot of things here, and I think that's why you get the result that you get, which is basically 7 points against the New York Football Giants. I mean, come on now. Me, you, your mother, your sister, my mother, my brother, we could run out a squad of a football team and probably score more than 7 points on the New York Football Giants, especially when their defense was as banged up as it was and they were losing bodies. So when you can't produce against that, it's basically telling me there's a lot of things off on the pages there. No one was on the right page, and it kind of showed. So that's where we are today on this. I'm recording this Tuesday night. So, yeah, and it was weird. No games on tonight. The Flyers game got canceled. So it was just a day of nothing. I'm waiting for some Phillies news as the MLB kind of does its own thing, which is going to be a nightmare for a lockout. So that's where I am with the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to thank everybody so much for hanging out with me today. Hit that thumbs up button if you are enjoying the content. Hit the subscribe button as well. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.